So, can one local newsletter really capture the soul of a small American town? Can it show you what's actually going on behind the quaint storefronts and the quiet streets? Well, we're about to find out. We're going to dive into 1 week in the life of Woodward, Oklahoma, and we're seeing it all through the lens of their community newsletter. And right off the bat, you see these totally conflicting headlines. On one side, you've got stories about young people leaving, a youth exodus, and this feeling of isolation. But then, on the other hand, you've got articles talking about Woodward's hidden magic and calling it an enchanting destination. It's a classic small-town paradox, isn't it? So what's the real deal here? Is it a forgotten town or is it a hidden gem? To figure that out, we're going to dig right into that newsletter and let all those everyday details tell us the real story of Woodward. Okay, so let's start with the heart of it all, the community pulse. These are the events and the stories that really make up the day-to-day rhythm of the town. This is where you see people actually coming together. A quick glance at the calendar shows a pretty typical week. There's a community event happening at a local joint called Dax and Snacks, a live band playing at the Patriot Pub, and they even shared a recipe for a classic pot roast. But the thing that really caught my eye is the pet of the week. And this week's star is Brandy. Now, this is more than just a cute photo, right? It's kind of like a little window into the town's character, and you can really see their dedication to local animal rescue. And it's the little details here that really tell the story. Brandy is a 70-pound lab mix, full of loyalty and energy. They say she's a bit shy at first, but when she trusts you, she's incredibly faithful. You know, a profile that specific and that caring, it says a lot about a place that puts in the time to help its most vulnerable creatures find a good home. But, you know, life in Woodward, like in any town, isn't just about pot roasts and cute puppies. The newsletter also pulls back the curtain on the tensions simmering just under the surface, everything from local crime to some pretty heated community debates. Okay, check this out. There was a robbery at a Cricket wireless store. The suspect, a 21-year-old guy from the area, was caught that very same day. And this is a perfect example of how a small community works. The police had the surveillance footage, sure, but they also got crucial tips from the public, shared right on their Facebook page. So yeah, it's a story about crime, but it's also a story about a community that looks out for itself. And of course, politics makes an appearance in Woodward too. T.W. Shannon, who's a former Oklahoma House Speaker running for lieutenant governor, he held a campaign event right in town. The newsletter just lays out his platform. He's for free markets, Judeo-Christian values, and growing the workforce. And he also made a point to praise Woodward's downtown improvements, connecting his big state-level campaign directly to local pride. But maybe the biggest story, the one that really gets to the heart of small-town life, is what happens when an outside company wants to set up shop. There's a huge debate raging over a proposed sand mine near the neighboring community of Mooreland. And it's this classic showdown, right? On one side, you've got residents who are really worried. They're talking about the health risks from silica dust, the safety of their drinking water, and all the extra truck traffic. But on the other side, the company, Crowell Inc., is saying, hey, this is just a small, temporary project. It's that age-old conflict, economic development versus quality of life. And this quote from the article really drives it home. This isn't just some abstract debate for them. It's about actual neighbors like Dalton Reason who are worried about the real-world impact on their families and their businesses. This is where big policy gets very, very personal. You know, this kind of struggle, progress versus preservation, it's not a new thing for a town like Woodward. And to really get what's happening today, sometimes you gotta look back. The newsletter does exactly that, giving us this fascinating peek into the town's history and its character. We're going to jump in the time machine all the way back to 1964. So here's a page from the old Woodward County Journal from back then. And you know what? It's just packed with the stuff of daily life, local names, church announcements, ads for local businesses. It feels so similar in spirit to the modern newsletter, really focused on the people who make the community what it is. And then, tucked away at the bottom of the page, there's this simple but really powerful line, "With faith, you're never alone." That sentiment speaks volumes about a deep-seated value of resilience and looking out for each other, a value that seems to have stuck around, connecting Woodward's past right to its present. All right, so we've looked at all these different pieces of the puzzle, the fun community stuff, the crime, the politics, the history. What have we actually learned? What's the real snapshot of Woodward? Well, the truth is, it's everything. It's not one or the other. Woodward is a place where people get together for live music, and it's also a town that has to deal with crime. It's a community figuring out tough questions about its future, all while being shaped by this long history of faith and resilience. It's a town of contradictions, and honestly, that's what makes it so real. And that really leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? The stories from Woodward, from Brandy the rescue dog to the sand mine debate, they paint this picture of a complex, real, living community. So it makes you wonder, take a closer look at your own local news. What do those small, often overlooked stories say about the place you call home?